Hi there, it's Larry Podzabinski. You're friendly, knowledgeable on psychosis and schizophrenia and how to beat it person. Now I need to engage with. I was going to talk about my book, in the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia, third edition. It's the third edition I did republished in 2018. I don't think I've read it all the way through recently since. And so I just got done reading it. It took me a while to read it because I don't like to read books, but too much mental work at this point. But I was surprised, though, how smooth and clean this read is, just as it is. See, the history of the book is it was written based on life experiences, and true. It's all true and not been embellished or made up or glossed out, shiny-fied for you. You know, I mean, it's the raw truth of what the illness can do and will do to a person unless they take medication, and not just any medication, but medication that really is newer and advanced and actually works for the condition. Effective medication, I always stress, or it's not worth even taking sometimes. It's worse than the cure, the illness. In the old days. But but I was surprised at how well this book flows and edits and smooths and polishes and buffs all the way through. I mean, because it was done by a professional editor who worked for the newspaper, and it was where I met her, and she did a story on me in 2008 in the book, and I thank you, Aaron Donnelly, for that's edited on this book. I just read it again, and it's fabulously smooth read all the way through. And unlike the first two editions, Erin offered me a free second edition edit for her portfolio to go into editing, and I said, yeah, sure, and we did that. And then about 5 years later, I was kicking through the leaves and autumn leaves, and I was saying there's something wrong with that book, and I realized what it was like two stories in one, like the fact that I had the schizophrenia all along. It was supposed to be about. But it was also about the sidebar of, I was a philosophy student in the 1970s, which didn't fit in the same book. So I did a reconstruction edit on it and republished it in September, I think, or August of 2018, and it's the third edition. And I'm so happy with how this book reads. It's my contribution back to society for infracting society the way I did, as the book describes, from the illness. My behavior was a result of it, and legal troubles and things, but they all know who still would remember me from those days that I'm fine, because you don't hear about me or see me in the news or in the courts or anywhere, and I take the medication, which I have to do in an hour now. But the book is absolutely true. Not a word of it is made up. It's all actually happened. And you have to have, I think, an interest in the subject of paranoid schizophrenia to read the book, In the Grip of Paranoid Schizophrenia, third edition. The third edition, you see there in white. If you have an interest in what the illness is, if you're a psychology student or otherwise interested, it would be worth your while to read this book. And many people say so. The back cover comments say this book should be required reading for anyone thinking about entering the mental health field or field of psychiatry, where the writer shares its most intimate thoughts and feelings of the agony and ecstasy of living with a serious brain disorder from the prodromal period in early adolescence through young adulthood and into middle age. Clinicians who have worked as therapists and case managers will recognize the episodes brought on by various environmental triggers. It should also be how parents possibly see that it's not something that the individual can necessarily snap out of. Support groups such as NAMI and NARSAD research is critical in helping all who suffer with a brain disorder. That was from Mrs. Elaine McCleskey, a professor at college locally, and I met her in a study she was doing for the University of Pittsburgh to identify the DNA markers for schizophrenia and bipolar in the 1990s. And I went back to her with my book and approached her and and told her. So she loved it, and wrote. I mentioned her in the book too. The different things we were talked about the illness. Dear friend, I consider her. And the other friends from those days, Susan Culbertson is working, mentioned in the book, is editing the second book. The edits weren't majorly many; they were just sparse and few, but they were critical edits. I saw the pages she sent me photos of, so I have to check back with her and see where she's at. And when I get enough of those in, I'll get started on refurbishing the second book, From Xanax Withdrawal and Aging and Residual Schizophrenia, to the extended edition of that book, because I knew how I got the back problem to begin with. Now was just medication from the schizophrenia. That's a whole nother story I'll have to explain in the book. I've explained it in videos, but not this one. It's not for this one. This is about the In the Grip video and this book, and how amazed I am how it reads. So it's available where you buy books, or if you want to make the most money, it's at lulu.com. Otherwise, the middleman just eats that up. It's a good read if you want to know about paranoid schizophrenia. It's a very smooth, polished, perfected read. It's perfect. I didn't see a flaw an error in it. That's all I wanted to say. I just was so impressed. I just had to comment about how good a job it's a contribution to society, back because I infracted society with the illness when I was younger, and medication wasn't available that worked right. Had not been invented yet, so I had behavior problems and legal problems, and but that's all changed now because I have medication that works and I take it. So that's the key to beating it and the illness. But not if the medication doesn't make you feel right, then it's try something different until you feel your normal self, like yourself, and you're content and things make sense. You're in touch with down to earth and not seeing any weird things going through your head about distorted realities, and that the illness will disarray your mind, and it can be very terrible, as it's described in the book. It's a wonder I survived. Thank goodness. Have a nice day.